And welcome to Conservative Talk.
And we have a very special guest this week. Leah Aldridge with Women Lead Right is going to be joining us, telling us about this amazing organization that's coming up in Georgia.
And welcome to Conservative Talk. My name is Justin.
And this is Jamie.
And as always, we'd like to take a quick moment to remind you of your special obligations and duties. We all know that we have to have certain things that we have to do in our lives because the law says so. Well, Jamie's law does explicitly state that you must like every episode that we do produce and release on any of our social media platforms. And you are also mandated. Actually, there is a higher calling that you must share all of our work and get it out as far and wide as possible so Jamie's law can be as influential as absolutely possible. Jamie, there is no law higher than Jamie's law. Just remember that. Jamie's law also scripturally dictates that you must hit subscribe on every single platform that we release our information or release our productions on. That way you can be informed and updated and get the good tidings that Jamie's law brings to all of us in our lives.
You know, you never get used to it, but I'm getting better with it.
He's enjoying his deity status. Jamie's law also says that you must go to our website at conservativestalk.org and hit that subscribe button in the upper right-hand corner, or that donate tab in the upper right-hand corner, or the lower right-hand corner. That way you can give your tithing to the deity known as Jamie. That way Jamie can continue to bring his message and spread it far and wide so everyone can accept and understand Jamie and live their lives according to Jamie. So with that, Jamie, would you like to give us your first reminder?
Yes. Boycott hometown headlines. It's time to kill the local newspaper. And it starts with you boycotting hometown headlines. Why would you go anywhere else for news other than Conservatives Talk? Because we are going to make sure that liberal media that is attached to hometown headlines is out of Northwest Georgia for good.
So saith Jamie. With that, we also want to say a quick thank you to our affiliates, and our first one being Net News Network. So Net News Network is a local compilation of kind of grassroots newscasters that give a very personalized, on the ground, firsthand perspective of things going around in their area. So if you are interested in a variety of newscasters and figuring out what's going on across the entire country from a firsthand perspective, make sure you are looking at Net News Network. We also want to say a quick thank you to Veterans for America First. They are the premier America First policy organization that really brings the America First policy agenda, brings it out and really puts it forward. And they push their messaging through their social media platform, and that being Vet Voice. So make sure you are looking for Vet Voice on every major social media platform. So, Jamie, now that we've got all the commercials out of the way, how about let's bring on our guest?
Yeah. So, and welcome back, Leah.
How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing great. How are you all doing?
Ma'am, if we were any better, we don't know if anybody out there want to put up with either one of us.
Most people don't.
Let's hope they'll want to put up with me if they hear what I have to say.
In all honesty, I have a feeling after they hear what you have to say that, quite frankly, a lot of folks are going to be more interested in it to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. I'm really humbled by the invitation and feel fortunate to have the opportunity to share what we've been up to. So I founded a nonprofit, a conservative women's political nonprofit called Women Lead Right. And we were really birthed after the chaos of the 2020 election, between the election results and the runoff. There was a lot happening in Georgia then, as everyone who watches this podcast probably remembers. And a group of in-town and suburban conservative women came together to help reelect Senators Loeffler and Perdue. Sadly, none of us, all of us pulling for that to happen, were successful. But the experience, along with my experience in politics up until that point, led me to believe that there was a real need to organize, train, identify, and put conservative women to work to impact Georgia's elections. And that's what we do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got to say, so the women around here, our women run essentially the elections. They
more than that.
Yeah, the Republican women up in this area, they set up the campaign headquarters. They man it 24/7. They volunteer every waking hour they possibly have. I mean, they are
dedicated.
Yes.
I mean, our women's group is very dedicated as well as, so I'm chair of the Floyd County GOP, and I have a board of 11 members on that. Oh man, eight of them, 7 or 8 of them, the majority of them are women. And they make sure that I am on my P's and Q's at all times.
Well, I can't say that the women that work with me aren't the same, but I'm really trying to engage women that aren't already engaged with the GOP. So I would say that the majority of the women that come and work with me, I work with women's, organizations, women's club, GOP, women's throughout Georgia. But I also engage with women who are the type that say, "Oh, I don't like politics. Politics, that's nasty business. I'm busy. I'm a working mom. I don't know much. I don't want to feel like a fool. I'm not interested." And I try to engage those women. I don't know if you all remember, but after we lost the midterms in 2018, Senator Lindsey Graham said, "The GOP's got a suburban woman problem, and it's real." I certainly remember President Trump speaking, at a big rally, like crying out, "Suburban women, will you please like me?" In part because there was a pretty big voting bloc of suburban women that were gravitating away from the Republican Party. That's happened in Georgia. And we have got to reach these women and bring them back to the GOP. That literally is the mission of Women Lead Right. We know there's a problem, and that solution needs to come, I think, in my opinion, from women. I think we've got something really special going on with Women Lead Right, and I would be delighted to be introduced to your women there, Jamie, that are working with you, and any others that might hear this podcast, because we're growing actively right now. We started in Buckhead, Sandy Springs, 4 counties, in-town counties where the population is growing tremendously. And I'll tell you, we've got a data-driven approach, and we worked in the last election cycle, and the data's proved that our formula is really producing results. So I can't wait to share some of that with you.
Awesome. So what are some of the things that you and your members do to really help affect some of these elections?
We're not really reinventing the wheel. And we're doing what women do best. We're talking. I mean,
not us. We're not going to get canceled.
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Look, I mean, we're relational. Like I love being a woman. I mean, I have 3 children. I've got a daughter and 2 sons. So I'm like more of a boy mom than a girl mom, but I love being a woman. I have no problem like owning what I do well and, respecting my husband for what he does well. Married 30 years, gentlemen.
Oh, congratulations.
On November 6th. So, I'm really proud to be a woman and really happy to say we're relational and we communicate and we do a pretty damn good job of it. So, and I'll share something with you. And I hope any of the women that listen to this feel this way. I've been engaged in politics for a while. I was a candidate here for the state Senate, ran in 2017 and 2018, won the Republican primary against 5 other very well-known Republican candidates, and ended up losing that race to a pretty fiery female lawyer named Jen Jordan. She ran for attorney general. So folks up there would have seen her on their ballot just in this last election cycle. So I'm also a lawyer. So you had deeply conservative female lawyer running against radical liberal female lawyer. So it was a really interesting race, and it was very, very, very expensive and very high profile. And one of the reasons I ran, amongst others, was, activists claim to speak for women all the time. And it's only the left. They call things like the Women's March. Remember that thing where they put pink vagina hats on their heads and protested Trump? It wasn't called the Liberal Women's March. They just called it the Women's March. And then they call things women's issues. Oh, the women's issues of the day are, and I'm like, those aren't my issues, right? And the Democratic Party says they're the party of women and for women, and look at all the women running. And if you're a smart woman, educated woman, you got to be a Democrat. I was like, it's not my party, not my march, not my issues. And I wanted to really, grab women whose values I share and give us a voice, right? Give us an organization that anyone right of center, I want to share that. I happen personally to be very conservative. I ran for office. My views are public. So that's what I'll say. We can talk about that later if you want to, but I want to say that Women Lead Right really welcomes anyone that is to the right of center to deeply, deeply conservative. And our table is big. If you're willing to vote Republican and keep Georgia red, you are welcome at our events. I'm pretty firm on that. We don't disenfranchise people. We don't use the 4-letter word in our organization is rhino. We're not calling people rhinos. You're welcome if you're willing to work to engage the sort of squishy middle and bring them back to the polls for the GOP. So, I was tired of my viewpoints being silenced by the women who were proposing to speak for me. So what we do is the same stuff that would happen in a regular campaign. We have a data-driven approach. We work very closely with former U.S. Senator Kelly Loeffler's organization, Greater Georgia. They run all of our data, and we identify specific women. The last election cycle, we had 33,000 specific women voters that had been reliably Republican. In other words, they had voted in 2 Republican primaries, but stopped voting Republican from 2016 on. And our job was to do what any campaign does: call, write, text, connect on the issues that we felt the Republican Party was leading on, and on issues that were most important to these, what I would call, disengaged female voters. How did we know what those issues were, right? Well, my nonprofit paid for a poll. We ran 2 polls in 2022 and asked them, how do you vote? Are you planning to vote? What are the issues most important to you? And what we found was kind of surprising to many. And then we polled them again after Roe versus Wade was, quote, overturned by the Dobbs decision of the summer of 2022 to see if their issues changed. And I want to be really clear, right? These aren't what conservative women would rank. These are women kind of in the middle, women who lean Republican, but maybe get turned off by us sometimes, or get busy, or lots of things happen. And we start communicating with them on those issues. And we were really successful. I mean, I'm super proud to say. I'll stop talking now unless you want me to go.
No.
No, please keep going.
I love it. Yes.
Okay. I do have one quick question though. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Like, so how did the results of that poll turn out? Like, were they more willing to come back towards the right, like, in the change up of things, or have you seen any results of seeing that we can get suburban women back to voting Republican, especially in the metro area?
Or what were the overarching issues altogether that Republican women that used to vote Republican and then may have drifted away? What were their major issues?
Okay, so everybody assumes. So actually, got my.
Yes, love data sheets.
You love a bar graph. Wait, I can't. Sorry, with the camera. A good bar graph is always good. So honestly, our first poll resulted. We had 55% of the women saying jobs and the economy was their number one issue.
Okay.
Shocker.
Yeah.
You say sure, but a lot of these are working moms.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And also, since this is Women Lead Right, we're going to talk a lot about women. So I apologize to the men.
We both have mothers.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Right. Or your daughters or sisters.
And significant others who love us.
Yeah, right. Sorry. But there are more registered women in the state of Georgia than men. And in the last election, more women voted than men. So if we're able to change the voting patterns of even a small subset of women in a state that the votes are terribly close, like 13,000 votes the last time, we're really moving the needle.
Yes.
So number one issues in January, and actually this did not change after Roe versus Wade was overturned, was basically the economy. Is the economy stupid, right? Women spend most of the household income, right? We're going to the grocery store, second, I mean, literally a distant second, like 55% was jobs in the economy, and a distant second was basically election security tied with safety and crime. So, but I'm talking down to like just over 10%. So we saw, it wasn't abortion. It wasn't, it wasn't immigration. It wasn't some issues that really play very strongly for conservative women. But we've got the answers on those issues. We're trusted on the economy. We're trusted on jobs. We're trusted on public safety. Dude, we've got the answers on those issues. So what we do is we train our women on some talking points, and we put them to work in various ways. We handwrite notes, literally. 33,000 handwritten notes went out to each of those households. We call just like a campaign would call. We text. We place ads. We train women to be comfortable, like engaging people at the nail salon or at the grocery store or wherever in a really soft way. And we did education on the primary. So let me tell you.
They're dangerous.
Okay,
I'm loving this.
Yeah,
y'all. I'm telling you, like, there's some secret sauce here, and it's really
like
exciting.
That's the key.
It's really exciting. So, 33,000 women. Remember, they hadn't voted in a primary in 8 years. So, of the women we targeted, and we know exactly who they are. 49.4% of them voted, which, you can say, Leah, like, hello, that's an F. But remember, they weren't voting at all. So we brought half of them back. 82% of them voted Republican.
Oh, beautiful.
So we're extending we only identified women in the four major counties, most populous counties, and we're expanding our role to a similar universe. Remember, those universes change, right? We have new voters registering. Now that these women have voted in a Republican primary, they may fall out of my universe, right? Because now they're seen as more reliably Republican. I want to get that squishy middle. And we're expanding our reach to voters throughout the whole state that would fit our criteria. So we're looking for women to join our effort. We track the data. and we're very transparent about what we do. And remember, when you bring a woman back to the polls, or even like candidates who get a primary voter, let's say you've got a woman who's really for DeSantis, if you get her to give $20, she's really loath not to show up for DeSantis. You know what I mean? She feels committed. Or you get someone to put a sign in their yard. Well, when you get a woman to show up and vote in a primary, they're coming back for the general because they're invested, right? They're invested in the candidate that they decided to vote for. So we're pretty excited about what we're doing. And I want to share, a lot's been made of I think it was like 330,000 Georgians that voted in 2020 in the general election for Trump that did not come back out in January.
Yeah.
Yes. So that was going to kind of lead into my next question.
Right? Yeah. I mean, right. So, we know we need every person who's willing to vote for the GOP at the polls. Mm-hmm. So that's what we do.
Because I would ask that you kind of look at North Georgia, Northwest Georgia. I mean, during that same time frame, we had close to, it was over half, 171,000 people across North Georgia stands out in my mind of people who voted in the general for Trump, but did not come back out for the runoff in January. And those numbers alone, and you can show there's almost the same delta in individuals who didn't come out in the runoff with Herschel Walker too. If we have those same kind of recruiting tactics to get people back out for runoffs and generals, we change the dynamic of Georgia currently.
Or we show what the dynamic of Georgia
actually is.
Yeah, voters aren't stupid. I'm so tired of people saying that, but they are busy.
That is true.
That's true.
And women, especially working moms, so what we do is we make sure. The other thing about women, I control 5 votes in my house because I have children that are in college out of state. Women are often caretakers for ailing parents. Mm-hmm. So, in my household, I order absentee ballots. I make sure those children that are out of state and college have a ballot to cast. Mm-hmm. Oh, they should do it themselves. Give me a break. College students who are out of state are not following our elections, right? We're caretakers for, if you're caretaking an older person and they want to vote in person and they intend to, order that absentee ballot. They don't have to cast it. They can still cast an in-person ballot. Those are things that women don't know. Once I order that ballot, then I can't go into the polls. What if your mother gets sick? What if it's raining? What if your child gets sick? What if your boss calls you in? So we spend a lot of time saying, do you know where you can vote early? Have you ordered your absentee ballot? Republicans want to vote in person. Of course we do. But, when you've got college age kids or a daughter who's just started a new job and who's moving, or, a grandson who just turned 18, who's not even thinking about voting, women can really influence more votes than their one vote with their planning, with their education, and with their conversations with other women. So, y'all, we're getting it done. I've been contacted by Ohio. Ohio wants to start a Women Lead Right chapter. Martha Zoller's how could we get a chapter in, Northeast Georgia? I'm ready. We are growing. I'm talking too much, but
no, this is perfect.
And we're
running through
young.
a list of names that I can give you to help out.
I already have someone that I want to send you to. She's already started talking about starting a chapter, something similar to this. So we have a lead for you already. Yeah, I think we're thinking about the same people. Yeah.
And just to be clear, I'm not, I'm on the national, Republican Women's Club, election integrity. I'm the only lawyer on the national committee, and I'm a member of, a women's club here in Cobb County. I don't, we're not competitive at all. We're in fact invited often by those women's clubs to do like a joint, postcard writing party or whatever. We're not competitive. We don't really do what they do. We're like mission focused, mission critical, and we're reaching out to women that are not in their world, right? They're not interested in being involved in GOP politics. Usually they don't we have called many of these women and they've said, oh, there's an election.
Yes,
there is. And let me tell you about it. Let me tell you why I'll also share with you Kelly's team, who was tracking some of our calling, called me during one of our calling parties and said, we're going to reset the system. There's something wrong. I think that they're the system's staying engaged on your calls and not allowing you to move on because your average time for call is way longer than it should be. And I said, well, what is it? I said, no, that sounds about right. We get a lot of hang-ups. but it's really different when you say, we train our mom, I say, to whomever, let's say it's a grandmother who lives in Dunwoody. And I say, these are our 4 issues that we know these women care about. Which one matters to you? Well, I'm really worried about what's being taught to my grandkids in school. Transparency in schools was one of the top 4 issues. Great. So you're going to call these people. You're going to use your name, first name. You're going to say, hi, I'm Leah. I'm a grandmother. I live in Dunwoody. And I'm calling you to let you know there's a primary election. And I'm calling you because I'm really worried about what is being taught to my grandson at school. People are like, who? What? Are you with a campaign? No, I'm not. Is that really who you are? It is. People know when you're sincere. And you're not a paid gun. You're not a kid from out of state who's working for a campaign. You don't even know what they stand for. You're a grandmother from Dunwoody, and your grandson's name is, sometimes they'll say, yeah, my grandson Adam told me he can't. And the people are like, I know, I'm worried about that too, right? Sure, hang up, don't call me, how'd you get my number? But that you start a conversation with sincerity from a real woman to another woman. Listen, it can be lights out. And we end up saying, sometimes they'll say, are you with one side or the other? And we'll say, yeah, we're hoping that you'll come to the polls for the GOP. We don't work for candidates and we don't endorse candidates. So we're hoping that you'll vote Republican. That's what we say. That's what we're doing. We think they've got the answers. Y'all, it's very compelling. It's very soft.
It really is.
I mean, the numbers are, self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's compelling.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see any reason why it would be any different this time around. Of course, it's a presidential year, and so whoever the nominees are, we'll start to get to work in January. I mean, we're already at work. I mean, we're having a debate watch party. We're growing. We're opening college chapters, which I'll tell you about next. But
yeah,
why don't I be quiet for just a minute?
No. No, this is great.
Yeah.
You were talking about. So you just said the college chapters, and you've been talking about. I'm scared to say this because Mom always taught me never to mention this, but you were always talking about. You were talking about older women. Mm-hmm. What is it that your organization is doing for younger women?
Oh, well, let me tell you.
I knew I was going to get in trouble.
Are you actually referring to me as an older woman? Is that what's happening here?
No, not at all. I'm guessing 23, 24.
There you go. I have a daughter older than that. I'll tell you about 2 women lead right members, one of our oldest and one of our youngest.
Okay.
One of our oldest is Barbara, and she lives in Evans, Georgia. And we call it the Barbara Brigade because she's over 80 and girlfriend can make some calls. She and her retired women in her retirement community get together and they make calls on their computer. We set them all up, and Barbara will make 100 calls for us a day.
Wow.
And she is worried about the future. She's worried about where the country is going. And I've given her something she can do that's practical, data driven, and has results. And she feels like her time is very, very well spent. One of our youngest members, Brittany, who is a college student, I will not mention where, we went and did an event at this university in April of 2022. And we set up a little postcard writing party. Like I said, we made sure everyone got at least one handwritten note. And so we had 2 women, conservative women at this college who were hosting the event. And it wasn't affiliated with college Republicans or anything like that. You know, a lot of these women on college campuses, I don't want to put like anyone in a box. The work that our college Republicans is doing, like they're incredible. But a lot of girls that are conservative, they might not be policy wonks. They might not be following like the Constitution, blah, 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 or the latest Supreme Court case that says whatever, or the speaker's race. Like that's not,
they're not political science majors.
Find community. They're brilliant and they're smart, but they might be showing up because they're feeling a little lonely with some of their progressive sorority sisters and they're looking to find some conservatives. But the kind of like sort of frat boy policy wonk, I'm all about like conservative ideas, doesn't always work for some of our younger conservative women. And we ended up with quite a big group, several sorority girls that invited some of their sisters. And one of the things that I've learned when I ran for office is, despite the fact that I'm talking ridiculously too much with you all, is it's really better to let people tell their own story. And so one of the things that I often do is ask people like, why are you here? Oh, would you let me record you? Could you just say that on camera? And so I just asked about 7 or 8 of the girls, why are you here? Like, what issue animates you to come to this today? Recording. And afterwards, we sat down and we watched these. And they were pretty compelling and really moving for the women that are on my board. The women on my board are, in town. I'm an urban conservative woman. I live within the city limits of Atlanta. Okay. These are post-professional corporate lawyer, right? And we were really moved. And one young woman, Brittany, said that as she like noodled, if I shared her video with you, you'd be so like sad. She's like noodling across. She's like nervous. And I recorded all the takes because she was so nervous that she'd be like, okay, stop. And then I recorded again. And actually, if you record all the takes, it's even more compelling. And what happened is she posted on her private Instagram page a picture of Leah Thomas, that University of Pennsylvania transgender swimmer that created all the firestorm that won the NCAA whatever. And it was an article by a coach and a picture. And her sorority sisters brought her up to the judiciary committee of her sorority. She was an executive member of her sorority, lived in the house. And they said it was akin to hate speech. And she had to step down, and that she was lucky she was able to remain a member of the sorority.
Wow.
And this was not on behalf of the sorority. This wasn't on the sorority's page. This was her personal free speech rights. And she didn't even make a comment about it. She just reposted. And, we offered to make her an intern, which she came and worked for us for the year. But we knew that we needed to reach down and create community for these girls. Literally last night, you can go on to our social media, Women Lead Right GA, and see the pictures. We launched a chapter, our first chapter. Our second chapter will be launched by the election, by the primary election, probably. The first chapter is launched at Georgia Tech. Second chapter will be at UGA, and third chapter will be at Kennesaw State. And there's no like priority. It's just, where we had contacts and interest, people were coming out of the woodwork. Last night, and we had an amazing group of women last night. Kelly Loeffler was our guest speaker. And we supported those women, and we heard from them, and they're launched. So we feel really strongly that the mission is to bring these disenchanted suburban women voters back to the GOP. That's the original mission, but we discovered a hidden gem, which was that women need community. And so we are reaching down to our youngest conservative women and trying to create that community and mentor them. This morning, I got 2 emails from 2 of them. One of them wants to be a lawyer. I mean, we're not just, these chapters are they're student organizations, they're not, right? But it's like, I feel like I'm kind of doing the work of the angels, supporting these women. I mean, so that's, we go from, I guess that would be from age, 17 or 18 all the way up to Barbara in her 80s. So, all are welcome. And UGA, that's awesome. So I would be delighted. Berry College be really super excited to work with some folks in Rome.
That's what I was writing down.
Speaking right. of which,
I'll give it back to you, gentlemen. Help me out here. Where can we go with this?
There's so many. My mind's
how
been
can
running.
People get involved with your organization?
Oh, well, Women Lead Right GA. I mean, we're on Facebook. I've got a huge website. I have a blog on my website. There's videos of the girls from our first collegiate chapter, not those private videos, because they felt a little too raw. And I didn't have permission to use those publicly. And we're supporting also a little bit women who are interested in running, for local office. School board elections are happening November 7th here in Atlanta. We've seen what's happened with our schools when we've given up control of this curriculum and DEI and what's happening in our schools, and public and private maybe even be worse right now in Atlanta.
Yeah, let's not talk
so we can't just be focused on this presidential race, y'all.
Oh, without a doubt.
We got to go top to bottom.
Local school boards, local politics. So we're really, really interested in educating and advocating in that regard. One of our women in the Lake Oconee area has put her name in the hat and is running for the local school board in Greene County.
That's awesome.
And she's given us a quote that it was because of her work with us that she kind of got the education and the courage, right? To feel like, I'm good at this. I know people. Yeah. I can do this. I mean, I'm mad. I'm ready. And so we've got a woman leader, our first homegrown local candidate that we have really kind of mentored. I mean, she's awesome on her own, but but she kind of got her political feet wet with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's in Greene. So we're really excited about that. So, y'all, we're tiny. I mean, we're tiny. We're new. We're a startup. We're learning. We're growing. And so we would just welcome anyone who's super politically savvy in your area, or women who don't have any experience. That's all right. We're all learning together. And we're just not willing to let our neighborhoods and our community and our state and our country keep going on the current trajectory. And we're going to do what we can, right, to right the ship. So womenleadrightga.org, and you can contact me. I'm Leah. Contact me on Facebook, on Instagram. We also have a private Facebook group you can ask to join. That's really where the magic happens. A lot of people are nervous to be front and center in politics. I mean, not everyone's Marjorie Taylor. I mean, not everyone's Congresswoman Green. I mean, not every woman is that is ready. And we respect that. We respect that. So we have a private Facebook group that you can share your concerns, and I'd be delighted to grow in Rome.
Yeah,
I have so many ideas that we're going to discuss off camera, because there's some places and some people I want to make sure that you connect with, because this is absolutely amazing, and I think this is what the state needs, especially in the urban areas, on making sure that, like you said, it's building a community to where conservative women feel that they have an outlet that they can go meet with like minds and talk about how to help continue to push family values.
Yeah, and it doesn't have that, for lack of a better term, that R word attached to it, the Republican. It doesn't label you as a Republican or anything. It puts you in the same mindset of, we are conservative, and that's what we're pushing for.
Which
we're not
is
pushing
what,
for party or anything else. It's for our values, for our beliefs.
And I hear that from a lot of my friends that I went to college with who aren't deep involved in politics. They have the same views, but they're like, I don't know, like how are my people who are savvy in politics going to feel if I say that this is my value system? So they don't speak about it out loud. That was one of the things that shocked me the most, was I had so many friends who were just so nervous to vote for Trump because they were worried what people think if they found out in 2020 that they didn't. Conservative women who voted down ticket Republican, who were like, I don't know what to do about the president, because they were more worried about other people's opinion because they didn't have that community that I think you're building.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we definitely are working to get people to come to the polls for one party. Okay, there's no question. Mm-hmm. We're pretty open about
absolutely.
That. And the majority, and what's interesting about like your community, where your community may have a great opportunities for conservative women to have community. You're talking about the GOP amazing superstars you have there, but the population growth in town. A big question I get asked. We've worked with groups in Ruth, Georgia. I mean, we're not just in town women. I mean, we're going out, and a lot of folks, like when I went to the Del Webb community in Peachtree City, the women there were like, we want to reach out to the neighbors that we've got here that are on your list. And I literally sorted my list, and I was like, in that community, you're hard D or you're hard R. There isn't a lot in the middle, right? And I said, what we're working for, you're going to be writing to people that are in Fulton County or Cobb County. There's tons in Cobb County. Cobb County used to be the bastion of Republicanism. Yes. Not anymore. Yep. So, don't worry about that, because we're keeping Georgia red. So don't feel like, I don't want to be writing to voters that aren't in my community. Your community, it's kind of baked. I mean, there's people are pretty certain about who they are. It's these kind of middle ground kind of working. A lot of people have moved from other states. Do you know that people who move from other states think that they've registered Republican or Democrat? We have made calls to people saying, I'm a registered Democrat, so I can't, even though I'm really sick that Biden, he's lost me, but I can't vote for a Republican. I said, yes, you can in Georgia. It's an open primary.
Yep.
So what? Because I'm tired. I'm not voting for Biden. He lost me when he blah, 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 when he blah, 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 right? What do you mean? Yeah. I'm like, are you from another state? Yeah, I moved down here from New York or whatever. Well, in New York, you can't do that. But in Georgia, you can come and vote in a Republican primary if you wish to, and you can vote Republican in general if you don't want to vote in the primary. So you are not stuck. And people don't know that either. So we've got a lot of work to do. And we've got the women that are willing to do the hard work. And I would just be delighted to grow in Rome, and delighted to have the help of all of those warriors, happy warriors for our values. Because I can tell them that the work to be done is in my community is struggling where I live. Crime. It's scary. It's scary. Yeah. And boy, we can save Georgia.
Yeah.
We can turn some of these suburban women in my community back towards, our ticket. And I think we can.
Well, it definitely sounds like you got the right message and the right plan. So again, Ms. Leah, I want to say thank you for coming on and telling us about Women Lead Right. It sounds like y'all are doing an incredible job and that y'all are really doing the fight that needs to be done. I'll put it that way. Y'all are really being effective at what you're doing. You're not just going out and making a lot of noise and not really creating results. Y'all are actually creating results. That's the greatest thing that I love about what you're doing with these organizations is you're actually effective in what you're doing.
Yeah, I think you said it best. The women lead the household. And so I think that staple inside of every nuclear family is also going to be the staple that keeps the Republican Party in the lead in the state of Georgia. So thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll close by saying, nobody knows a neighborhood like a woman, right? I mean, we know the schools, we know the parks, we know the beauty parlors. We're leading church groups and prayers at synagogues, and we're kind of we've got our finger in a lot of the community, and now we need to use those relationships to really influence others. And I think that with the right data and the right plan and with a little bit of training, that we're going to have an army of women who are going to keep Georgia red. That's my plan. Working with all the great GOP women's clubs out there, sort of as some of our warriors as well in partnership. So I'm just so grateful to both of you for giving me time on your show.
Absolutely. Well, we sincerely appreciate what you're doing.
I hope that some of the men that follow you have listened to the end and might share this with maybe their wives or daughters or granddaughters or sisters. Mm-hmm. And we would welcome a new following in Rome.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're gonna have to get Mary in this one.
Oh, I have a list.
Who's Mary?
We're going to talk. Mary leads our women's group in Floyd County, and we're going to get her to bring you up here and kind of meet with their women.
I would be delighted to come to the meeting or set up an actual work session. I mean, women like to talk, but I'm a corporate lawyer, so I'm about action. Let's do a little bit of talking and a little bit of eating and a little bit of drinking, and then let's get to work.
I think it's like a great time.
I'm there.
Yeah, I'm
still mad. I'm still mad. The congresswoman got Cosmos, and that's why I brought my wine. But I guess if I was a congresswoman, I might get a Cosmo. Maybe.
Next time.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, again, man, I just want to say sincerely thank you for coming on and speaking with us about this. Y'all you've got an incredible organization that you're really running and being very effective with, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how you're going to be effective in the upcoming election, because not only this municipal election, but in the even year election in 2024. I mean, everything's on the line with this, and it really sounds like y'all have taken the game to the new level, just like the left has with a lot of what they've done. So, again, thank you.
Well, have me back, and I'll share.
Absolutely.
Once the data comes in. We have to wait for all the data to come in, and then the team at Greater Georgia will run some analysis. But I'd be delighted to share. I have no doubt that we're going to be successful again, because it's not so high tech. It's like back to low tech, right? Mm-hmm. It's people talking to people, mm-hmm. and that seems to be the secret sauce. I mean, I act like I've got it, but it's really nothing new. We're just deploying it in a really directed way. So I'd be delighted to come back and share with you guys the results of our work. And I hope I'll be able to maybe come back with someone from Rome, maybe together. Maybe we can come up and we can squeeze together and you can serve wine for women lead right.
We're gonna make this work. Yeah,
we'll talk about how we work to really bring out a bunch of folks to the primary.
What she doesn't realize is we can take all of this on the road.
Yeah, we can pick the whole city up and move it. We've done that before.
I love it.
We can come to you.
Well, and also, Jamie, thank you. It was good to meet you the other night, and thank you for following up and inviting me to share our story. So
it was a pleasure meeting you as well. Thank you for coming.
Until I have some good news to share. Let's hope the next time we talk.
All right, sounds great.
Right, awesome. Well, thank you, ma'am, and I'm sure we will be seeing you here soon.
Thank you.
All right. So no, I know that I said it several times during our interview with Miss Aldridge there. They're dangerous. I love it. That's awesome.
It's really like, look, we all know that, like, and I've said this before too, right? The backbone of every nuclear family is the woman, the mother, the head. Like, you know what I mean? We're the head of the household. We're king, right? But the women control the house and maintain the house. And what they're doing is making sure that suburban women's voice is heard. And that's the niche in making sure that Georgia stays red, like I said before.
Yeah, they run the household without a doubt. They raise the children. They control everything that's going on within the household for the day to day. It's the women are an interesting part that have been overlooked in conservative politics for quite a while. And I really love the fact that you have organizations like this, have organizations like Moms for Liberty, different organizations that are going and targeting these women who have hold these conservative values and really bringing them out and getting them involved in an area where they generally haven't gotten involved very much in.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you know, I'm not touting or saying it's boys club or anything like that, right? But like, we have outlets as conservative men that we can go to. Mm-hmm. It's great to see not just the networking, but everything else for conservative women. So like young women like that are on these college campuses don't feel isolated, that they don't have a place that they can go and talk about their conservative views without have that, you know, the monster of progressive ideology shoved down their faces on a college campus,
especially when that is the college experience nowadays,
without a doubt.
But yeah, no, it's the numbers she's given us and the facts she gave us. I mean, there's no doubt that they're being very effective, that they have a very focused agenda and what they're wanting to do, and their model and their plan that they have shows that it's actually working well. So this is an organization that I strongly hope and that I foresee doing great things in the future.
I can't agree more.
Well, with that, we do always, as always, we like to take a moment to remind everyone that you are required, I believe it is no, it's not the first, but it may be the second commandment of Jamie's law. Am I correct?
That's
the second commandment.
Yes.
Okay. That you have to hit the like button and the share button on every episode that we produce and release. The third one does say that the third commandment is that you have to subscribe. That way you can always understand and hear Jamie's law and spread his good word across the land and really bring a better sunshine upon all of Jamie's followers. You are also hereby ordered, not ordered. Okay, ordered is a bad word. There is the absolute demand at the risk of your life if you do not go to our website at conservativestalk.org and hit that sponsor tab in the upper right-hand corner or the lower right-hand corner and tithe to Jamie so Jamie can continue to produce these and release his message across the land. It is or as I said earlier, so saith Jamie. Your Holiness, how about giving us your final thought?
So Justin threw me off as always, right? But here's the final thought, right? It's municipal election time. this is where the rubber meets the road.
Mhm.
Early voting goes now until November 3rd, and then election day is November 7th. Now is the time, because this is the election that really matters to you on a day-to-day.
Yes.
This is where your millage rate is. This is how your property taxes are set. This is what your taxes go to. This is how you fill potholes. And we need to make sure, especially in Rome and Floyd County, as well as, all over Northwest Georgia, that we continue to put conservatives in place, because when you have such a conservative stronghold, this is where Democrats go in for nonpartisan positions. So we have to make sure, we have to continue identifying these individuals who are left-leaning politicians, and they're implementing these principles, these values that the same monsters in DC are coming in with in your local schools and in your local government. We got to make sure we get them out. So don't forget, November 7th, early vote, so that on November 7th you can take someone to the polls. But early voting is from now until November 3rd. And then on November 7th, make sure we get as many conservatives out as possible to make sure that we take make the nonpartisan seats red. Yes,
here in Floyd County, we have had a dismal numbers show up so far. Make sure you're getting out to vote. This municipal election is so important that, I'll put it this way: there are decisions that are being made by this municipality right now that, if your child is in second grade, they are still going to shoulder the tax burden from a single decision that's going on until well after they are out of college, if they decide to go to college.
Well, I'm just going to be blunt with you. If Bonnie Askew, Mark Cochran, Sunday Stevenson, Bill Collins, if they're reelected, Rome's doomed. And then that same damage and cancer that will start with left progressive leaning ideology in the city of Rome will leak out into the county, guarantee it, if we don't stop it right now. We have to end this. We have to make sure that we have great people, and there's some great people who are pro-business and pro-growth in the conservative, principled way that are running right now. And I encourage every single one of you all to get out there and vote for Jim Bojo, Craig McDaniel, Wayne Robinson, and Harry Brock.
Yes. Well, so this is Conservative Salt, and we will see you soon.